Good morning. I am Kevin Price. Delighted to be with you on this Friday, talking to you about you and your business, getting ready for the weekend, just like you are. And we got a lot to cover on today's show. Going to talk a little bit with Anthony Lolli to get things rolled up here. You know, we really should have been better prepared. Instead of my normal opening music segment, we probably should have used that old Schoolhouse Rock, you know, lolly, 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 get our adverbs here.
No.
Oh, well, it was worth a shot. This gentleman is going to talk a little bit about the whole real estate front. He apparently specializes in zombie foreclosures. And so what we need to do
You mean
is
in Detroit?
No, it's actually New York, but yeah, Detroit automatically comes to mind. But yeah, you know, this whole idea of zombie foreclosures reminds me we need some special effects music that pertains or noise pertaining to zombies. Yeah, so keep that in mind.
I'll work on that one for you.
Yeah, work on that. All right, Anthony, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. Thanks for being so entertaining, even before you got on.
I try.
You did a great job. So I looked at your website, and I got to tell you, it is so cool. I love it. This website is awesome. Anthony Lolli, that's Anthony. Everyone knows how to spell that. LOLLI.com. You need to look at it. It is awesome. It is hilarious, and it is people just need to check that out. Very well done. Very creative.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So, in addition to being creative, though, what do you do? Tell us exactly what you do to help people out there.
Well, actually, I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Rapid Realty. We're a 61 location real estate franchise company, and our specialty is actually apartment rentals. And during these turmoil times, you mentioned zombie foreclosures. We're the guys that actually help to put people into apartments during the aftermath when they were getting kicked out. And what's interesting about the zombie foreclosure is that basically, you know, you have these homeowners that are underwater. They're getting inundated with all sorts of threatening foreclosure letters. So finally they wake up and they say, you know what, we're out of here. We're going to pack our bags. We're going to leave just like the bank asked us to do. And then next thing you know, when they, you know, remade their life and they moved on, 6 months later, they're hit with a tax bill, a water bill, and all sorts of things, even the eviction bill for evicting squatters that moved in when they moved out.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And
So
I would assume in some areas that's a pretty big problem.
It was a pretty big problem. It's actually contained now. There's a couple things that's been going on in the real estate atmosphere, one of which was a new law that was passed in California that stopped the banks from actually foreclosing with you while in the middle of loan modification negotiations. So that was kind of a weird time. You're trying to work things out with the bank, and they're talking to you. They're thinking about it. Next thing you know, you're still getting foreclosed on.
Yeah, absolutely bizarre, unbelievable that's taking place. It's like the left hand has no idea what the right hand is doing.
Right. It was just, you know, I think it was like a fire hose. It was just too many people, too many things happening at once. And, you know, the banks were not prepared to be property owners, property managers, to re-rent their property. So they were just understaffed. So now I think the staffing is appropriate. All the banks now are expediting short sales and foreclosures. It's a much, much smoother process.
Okay, so I see you're predominantly in the greater New York area. Is that correct?
That's right.
Are you looking into branching out in other states or other cities?
Well, yeah, absolutely. We're actually in Boston. We're in Philadelphia. We're in Long Island. We're in New Jersey. So we're expanding. We're like firemen. Anywhere that someone calls us and says, hey, I'd like to open up a franchise in my town, we'll actually go out, fly out, and check it out and vet the location and move forward and expand.
Now, you named those cities again. Boston, where else?
Boston, Philadelphia, New Jersey, Long Island, and obviously all the 5 boroughs of New York City.
Yeah, and I guess one thing they all have in common is a lot of foreclosures.
Well, absolutely. I mean, there was foreclosures everywhere. And what's happening now in the atmosphere is that you have institutional investors, real estate investment trusts, venture capitalist groups. They're buying up properties, bucket loads of properties for the specific purpose of renting them out. And it's actually working.
I like it. I think that's interesting to hear that. So like with franchises that you branch off in different cities, how do those typically take place? Do people stumble on your website, contact you for more information? One thing leads to another. Are you actively looking in those cities? How does that work?
Well, we're actively looking for any metropolitan area, but franchising, it's very difficult to get into the franchise business. If you look at some of the most recognized brands, McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, you know, you have to have a net worth of $500,000 or $1 million, and some brands won't even talk to you unless you're talking about a multi-store deal in one shot. So with us, it's kind of like a low, modest investment, and you basically get a real estate company in a box. You get to own and operate your own real estate company that that the niche is actually rentals, which is super, super hot right now, and it's a really cool brand. So people learn about us through word of mouth. You know, I do a lot of radio and talk shows and media, and people just Google, you know, my name, and they see the opportunity. They look at some of the success stories, and they go online, because we're very, very heavy on social media. We have a couple million people that actually go to our Facebook pages, and it's just an amazing movement.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Sounds interesting. And what kind of investment does it typically cost to get involved with franchising with you?
For less than $100,000, you can own and operate your own real estate franchise company, which opens the door and the opportunities for you to actually become a real estate investor, because you have to think about it. You have octopus arms now. You have agents out on the fields. They're actually getting inventory and listings, and some of these listings are really, really good opportunities for you to buy. And when you're surrounded and you own a real estate company with all the training that we give you, we actually give you the eyeballs to see these opportunities and jump on them.
Yeah, absolutely. Anthony Lolli is his name. Anthony, and the last name, LOLLI.com, located in New York, but now has offices in many, particularly sounds like northeastern cities, but looking for opportunities all over the country. I got to ask you, who built your website?
That was custom designed. You know, everything we did was designed. It's interesting because there's a bio story about me. So there's pictures of me when I was a kid, and that's really what was the most influential moment in my life, was when I wanted to kind of do like a rags to riches type thing, because we grew up with a very modest lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. I love your website. It's really very cool, very dynamic.
You like the brass balls there?
I don't see those. Hey, I'll look for those though. You know what I liked about it though is that it's interactive, but not in a distracting sort of way, and you walk away with a lot of information, and it's aesthetically attractive. Very cool. People need to check it out, even if they have no interest in real estate. I would suggest checking out just to check out the website, Anthony Lolli, LOLLI.com. New York City real estate success story and entrepreneur, and you're kind of like another Donald Trump.
In the making, yeah.
Yeah, in the making. That's a good answer. I like that. That's good. So, Anthony, how did you end up getting into this field?
Well, I actually started when I was 19 years old. I took a real estate crash course. At the time, it was a week-long course. And I said, man, I can make a lot of money doing this. And while I was in a classroom, it dawned on me. I said, I can make a lot of money owning a real estate school, too. So and while I was in the class, I was daydreaming, and I said, well, what if I actually pass this school test, get licensed, learn the art of sales and selling property, while I'm rubbing elbows with sellers and buyers and developers, learn about buying and becoming a developer, and starting a construction company, eventually starting a real estate brokerage, and then starting a real estate school. So that was like my 5-tier plan, and I actually executed all those things. I started my own real estate company, my own construction company, a real estate school, and now I have a franchise company. So it's real interesting how everything just grew, and just from that vision I had by daydreaming in the classroom.
Yeah, that sounds really quite interesting. And again, want to encourage people to get more information about it. Anthony Lolli, LOLLI.com. And Anthony, did you grow up with those that show there, Schoolhouse Rock?
Yeah.
So did you get a lot of harassment with that whole Lolli thing?
You know, people. You know, it's funny. Some people, some people know, and not as much as you would think. It's funny.
Yeah.
But when people ask me how do you say your last name, I say Lolli, like lollipop.
Lollipop. There you go. I love it. I think it's awesome. And so it's interesting story. And you said you grew up with pretty modest circumstances. What made you decide to do things differently than what your family had done historically?
Well, you know, my dad was a retired school teacher. My mom was a housewife. She was an immigrant from Ecuador. And they were hardworking people, but, you know, it was very difficult for them to make ends meet. And I saw the struggle at one point in time, and I said, I promised my mom at about 6, 7 years old, I said, Mom, you know, one day, because what she used to do, she used to go into Macy's and Saks Fifth Avenue and try on fur coats and perfume, but never really walk out with anything because we couldn't afford it. So she was kind of like daydreaming in front of the mirror.
Right. So
it dawned on me. I said, Ma, you know, we don't have to live like this, and I promise you one day I'm going to be so rich. I'm going to buy you a white mansion and a white limousine with a chauffeur, and you can buy anything you want. So I was able to realize that dream for my parents.
Love it. All right, Anthony Lolli is his name. The website, AnthonyLolli.com. Lolli spelled like a lollipop, L-O-L-L-I, AnthonyLolli.com. Thanks, Anthony.
Thank you.
When we come back, more for you. Do want to remind you, best content here often shows up over there at USDailyReview.com. Stay tuned here on this Friday. of The Price of Business.